Diary entry number 30, the last year. When we made it back to the house we shared after he got fired, number 2 sat in his chair in this room. It was his room. I never liked going in there because it was so messy. That's where his computer was, and his truck and equipment stayed. I didn't talk to him much, even though we were under the same roof. He sat there for almost 3 weeks before I finally said, "Are you actively looking for another company to drive for?" The company he got fired from said that they wouldn't give him a bad reference, so I couldn't understand why he was just sitting there. He knew things had to be paid. I finally researched another trucking company and told him to apply for it, because now he didn't want to be a company driver anymore. He only wanted to be an owner-operator. He told me he'd never go back to being just a company driver. The place I researched had a lease option. He finally decided to take the job. I would, however, never get back on the semi-truck with him ever again. He just didn't know it yet. It was during the colder season, and I always stayed home so I could make sure the house was good because of the extreme cold weather. We only had a couple of space heaters in the house. We had more at one time, but he smashed 2 of them. I had to make sure I was there to drip the faucets so the pipes didn't burst. He got to go to a lot of different places, and he had started driving overnight to get there. This man hated, with a passion, to drive during the night. This company was a great company. They paid way more than he had ever made, and yet he would still find ways to complain. During one of the coldest days, even though I had dripped the pipe on one side didn't work. It was the hot tap. The cold one worked just fine. Instead of calling the landlord, number 2 said I could just call a plumber out to see what it was, if it was my fault or not. And then we would have to pay for it anyways because it was in our lease. Come to find out, it wasn't my fault. The pipes in the entire house needed an overhaul. I didn't tell the landlord at first, while I was mentally preparing myself for how to handle it, since number 2 never took care of anything. I didn't have hot water in the house at all for like 3 months. During this time, number 2 got a credit card with a $5,000 limit on it. He also put me on the account supposedly so I could get to the doctor with it. But as soon as he got it, it was maxed out. I never got a chance to use it, not even once. Then, I was also dealing with the bank account always being in the negative every week, even though he was making so much money. It wasn't me spending it. I'm not a shopper. I've never been a shopper. He would make his way home before my birthday that year and brought home what he called a bug-out bag. He wanted to become a prepper, and he had a whole backpack full of stuff. I wanted no part in it. I was mad because he had spent the money on stuff that he didn't need. I didn't even look at the bag. He told me that he had purchased night vision binoculars, books, knives, and other stuff. I didn't care. That wasn't taking care of me right then. He also said while he was home, he left the truck open for me so I could go clean it up for him, since he knew how much I liked to clean. I went out there and looked at it, and there was 3 months worth of trash and pee bottles on the floor of the cab. Not in bags, just on the floor, scattered everywhere. It took me 2 hours to get it just presentable. I would never clean it again because while I was out there I realized that he did this on purpose to degrade me. He could have kept it clean while he was on the road. I wasn't his keeper. He wanted me to go back on the road with him, but I said I couldn't this time. Rent needed to be paid soon, and he didn't come home for 3 months at a time. He left, and I was able to stay. I also used my pup as an excuse, saying Pup really doesn't like being on the road either. His anxiety is really bad. When he got back on the road, I noticed that he had left his bug-out bag home. Curiosity got the best of me, and I looked inside. Can anyone tell me why he needed police-issued handcuffs and so much rope and books about deep woods and hidden areas? When I confronted him about the contents, he said, "Why are you going through my things? I've told you, stop going through my stuff." And when you've been with a person for 13 years, is it normal to say to your partner, "my things" or "my stuff"? I've never used that verbiage. It didn't sit right with me at all. After that, he decided I needed to get a job because a household needs 2 incomes. He was making well over $100,000 bring home pay. He also told me I was going to be late on rent that month, that I needed to make something up to tell the landlord. The landlord was never nice, and I hated so much telling them I couldn't pay. When I was finally able to make the payment, I forgot to add the late payment. They texted me and told me, and I don't know why, but I was just having a really bad day with number 2. I blurted out that the pipes in the house were faulty and that I already had called a plumber out there to look at them. Here's the silver lining for that. That gave me a better excuse to stay home, seeing as I never knew when they were going to have someone come and fix it. Meanwhile, number 2 was back to his old online habits again. Since I wasn't on the truck, he would only talk to me if he wanted to put blame on somebody, scream in my ear over the phone, road rage over the phone, or just complain. Sometimes he'd make me stay on the phone with him for hours if he knew I needed to do something at home. I really got good at hanging up on him. He would get so mad, but I would just say, "Sorry, I must have lost service," or something. He would text me more than he would call, and I was okay with that. Words don't hurt your ears. One day, I downloaded ChatGPT so I could have something to ask questions to. Is this abuse? Is this narcissism? Just things like that. ChatGPT would tell me they couldn't diagnose things like that. So that's when I started screenshotting number 2's conversations and how he talked to me on the regular. ChatGPT gave me the words for what I was living through. It gave me strength to want to leave. Every screenshot, I would prompt it to say, "Look at it from a different point of view, not mine. What do you see?" And what ChatGPT was seeing was textbook narcissistic behavior. I had to save myself somehow. My nerves were still shot from being on the other truck from the company he got fired from. I would simply shake all day. So would Pup, if I'm being super transparent. Around the 4th of July weekend, he would come home, and this would be the last time I saw him. The amount of things he brought home while Pup and I had been starving the previous weeks was outrageous. New top-of-the-line tennis shoes, a guitar, $400 in Zippos, snacks, food, at least 5 Stanleys, company clothing, not required. He just purchased it because he wanted to. He also had at least 30 hats. I said nothing to him about all the stuff he brought home. I just didn't care anymore. He once again said, "I know how much you love cleaning my truck up, so I left it for you." I told him it was too hot for me, being heat sensitive, to clean it. He said, "I'll turn the truck on for you, run the AC, so you'll be good. I know the house doesn't have AC, so you'll love it." I did only have the portable AC unit in one of the rooms. The fridge was also out. It had been out. So nothing was cold. Not even sure why he wanted to come home during that time. Maybe to drop off more junk that he didn't need on the truck. He also didn't know how to play a guitar, but he bought it anyways. He complained the entire time he was home about how hot it was and why wasn't I cooking him food. He did get a brand new fridge just to have a place to store food in and have cold drinks while he was home. He put it on a different credit card he had gotten. When I didn't have a fridge, it was no big deal to him. But him coming home and not having a working fridge, yeah, he made sure he got one. I didn't feel like turning the oven on to make him frozen food. He could do that himself. We got into a big argument while he was home. He had broken yet another item. This time it was 2 doors. He broke the door so bad it wouldn't even stay up on the door jamb. He bent silverware where it hit the wall because he was throwing it at me from the kitchen. Pup would never not be hiding under the bed when number 2 was home. Animals just know. After number 2 left, he acted like nothing had transpired while he was home. He also started doing something weird. He started calling me beautiful. He had never done that. He also started sending me daily selfies, like I had asked for them or something. Except one day, he sent the wrong one. It was a screenshot of a FaceTime with another woman. I screenshotted it. Then I replied back, "Good morning to you too, but who is that you're talking to in the picture?" He immediately deleted the picture. Then he told me, "I don't know what you're talking about. You've made me angry now, and I was in a good mood. Why do you always do that? I'm just going to go. I'm not going to talk to you anymore today. You ruined it yourself by accusing me of things all the time." I uploaded that screenshot to ChatGPT too. That's how I found out what gaslighting meant. I was pretty upset, but I was used to it. Weird, huh? It was kind of like the time he sent me and the other girl the same exact bouquet of flowers with the same exact card attached. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was tired. Mental exhaustion from narcissistic abuse drains your life. I reached out to a couple of my friends to help. One actually sent the police to my house so I could make a report. And you know what they told me? And you wonder why survivors had such a hard time leaving? They told me that I had to keep playing the game until I was ready to leave, and handed me the purple DV sheet with all the numbers on it. They also told me wrong about the shelters. I know, because I started calling the ones close to me. Nobody took pets. I used ChatGPT once again to find a shelter that I could take Pup with me to. I wasn't about to leave Pup alone so he could continue to get abused also. I did find one. There was one way up north, like 2,000 miles away from where I was. One that actually let Pup stay in the room with me. I chose that one. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I started calling them. 4 weeks in a row, like clockwork. Meanwhile, I confided in my neighbor. She had been telling me about her sister going through abuse from a narcissist. And one night, after they invited me over for dinner, I said, "Me too. I know what it's like. I'm currently trying to leave my narcissist as well." She looked at me and said, "I know we don't know each other very well, but I knew something was off about him." In the next couple of weeks, while I waited on the shelter to have room for Pup and me, we would become very close. She would even get boxes for me so I could pack. Tomorrow is August the 8th. It's my year anniversary of my escape. I will tell you about my planning and how I escaped on tomorrow's diary entry. Thanks for listening. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this was the Nervous System Diaries.